Endless Hustle is presented by Eat Clean Bro, a convenient solution to bring you the highest quality chef-prepared meals delivered right to your door. Eat Clean Bro is the contract-free solution for your meal prep needs. Made with all-natural ingredients and next-day delivery, every meal feels like you have someone cooking for you right at home. All right, we got one of the best running backs of my generation on the show today. One of the best in the business on the Endless Hustle, Shady McCoy, LeSean McCoy joining. Dude, I'm originally from Philly. I was just telling you, man, you're a legend in that town. You probably will never have to pay for a meal again.
Hey, well, I hope you're right about that. But I had a great time in Philly, man. A lot of my best times, I got to say, in Philadelphia.
So you get drafted, obviously going to the Eagles. People don't understand. Philadelphia might be the number one sports town in America. You get drafted. Did you have any idea walking into there what you were getting yourself into?
I knew that the fans were very passionate. I really knew that. So I knew I had to do good, and I remember the days of Dominic McNabb because I'm from Harrisburg, so I'm right down the street. Like when I got drafted, we just took a limo up to Philadelphia, but I remember when Donovan was such a great player, but there were times where he wouldn't do well or maybe he was hurt and they wanted him to play. The fans would go crazy, so I always knew that the fans were very wow and they really were passionate about the game. But I was excited. I mean, just to go up the street to play ball, playing for Andy Reid was definitely something that was cool for me. It was something special. And then like all my family could come up to see me play. Because for a while, all my football was just based from Pennsylvania, from high school to college, from Pittsburgh, and then going to Philly. So that was kind of unique.
The fan base embraced you right off the bat, Shady. I mean, it was like love at first sight. I had Deshaun Jackson on the show recently, and he just talked about no matter what franchise he's played for since, there was no fan reception that he felt that kind of love with Philadelphia. And obviously, you've done Buffalo, which has the Bills Mafia. You just won another Super Bowl with Tampa Bay. You've done KC with Andy again. But that experience in Philadelphia, can you really share what it was like? Like, how were you able to process that type of fan love?
See, it's different. I think because Buffalo was wild. That was crazy. I mean, fans like breaking tables before the games. They were actually like preparing and traveling days before the games. We have like a Thursday night game or Sunday night football. They were traveling 3 days beforehand, tailgating. So that was definitely different. But Kansas City was pretty loud. But it's nothing like Philadelphia, man. Like the fans really bleed and die green. Like one thing about it is if we're not doing well, they'll tell you about it. They'll boo you. But they're still involved. Like I remember where we had a season where we were like 4-12, but the fans were still sold out. People were still coming. The talk radio shows, they're loaded with a million questions, calling in. And no matter how good the Sixers were doing, it's always like a Philadelphia Eagles. That was the thing. And just being part of that culture, man, and that atmosphere was something different. I think when I think about all the other teams I played for, which I had great times, and the fans, it was weird with Tampa Bay because nobody could be there from the COVID. But for other places, like Kansas City was definitely cool. Like they can get loud, but the fans wasn't like involved like Philadelphia, So just going around, man, and seeing the different type of teams and atmospheres and the support from the fans, I think I would give it to Philadelphia. Buffalo and Philly, they're neck and neck, but I think this Philly is more involved. Like I mean, there's times where it's not safe to be a Cowboys fan. You're up 10, fourth quarter, just what I'm saying, celebrating. Like that's not safe. And Philadelphia will definitely let you know that.
I want to talk to you about Andy Reid because any current or former player I've ever talked to about Andy, the admiration they have for that guy is incredible. What was Andy like and what type of relationship? Obviously, ended up bringing you to KC later on, but what was that relationship like, both as a young man and then when you were a vet in the league?
Andy's a great person. He really was brought here, I think, from God, man, to help young kids become men. And that's what he's been, I think, for myself, helping me out, getting at 20 years old and just teaching me the game and how to be a professional, showing me enough toughness, right? But also giving me enough love where it's an even balance. I mean, and I watched him grow. Like he was tough. When I got there, he was tough. My first year, he didn't really say too much to me, and then as I got better and older, I think he more reached out. And that's his thing. Like, okay, he has to go through his learning pains, and then I could bring him in. And like I watch him in KC, he's always preaching, even when I was a rookie, about players letting your personality show, being who you are. You could be a great player, but you got to let your personality show, be who you are. He was big into that. So then when I got him in Kansas City, I mean, he's all different. He's adapting to the young generation, which they're a lot different now, I think. But now he's wearing Air Force Ones, and that stuff I was wearing when I was, you know what I'm saying? And like, he's joking, he's doing the dances. Everything's a dance song now. He's dancing with the young guys. Guys are like coloring their hairs, and he's like making jokes about it. So I've watched him grow, right, and adapt, to each generation, and you can see it. So I watched how, like, when we were the Eagles, we were an older team, and then we kind of got young. And then even like guys like me and Deshaun, we were hard to deal with, not because we were bad, but just, we're young, we're good, we're getting money. It's like we came out of school, fast and early, and he really just worked with us the whole time. And he did the same thing in KC. So I think once you see a coach like that, it's hard not to like. I mean, he's another guy that I love, where diverse as far as his coaching committee with different colors, different races, nationalities. Another thing he does that I love is how, like, he gives guys second chances. When everybody brought Michael Vick back, or thinking about bringing Michael Vick back, everybody was like so nervous, so scared to touch him. I mean, he's a great player. He had some things he did that wasn't right. And Andy Reid, he took that chance. He's like, hey, man, everybody deserves a second chance, and stuff like that, where it's like you're doing what nobody's gonna do. People want it, they're thinking about it, but I don't want to touch that. It's too hot. And he's totally different. I mean, he's, hey, man, he's because he's very, spiritual and religious, Andy Reid. And he's like, hey, man, everybody deserves a second chance. He brought Michael Vick back. And it was tough for the city of Philadelphia. A lot of fans, they threatened not to come, and he stuck to his guns, and he kept them, and he helped us out. And he obviously did a great job. So things like that really make Andy Reid special.
You just touched on something, and I'm dying to hear, because now I can hear it from a vet's perspective. Young players, you said, are very different now.
Oh,
so
God.
You got to elaborate. I got to hear this, because look, I'm a guy, I love basketball. I mean, I love football and everything else, but when you look at the NBA today versus 80s and 90s, which I grew up in and loved, I love the 80s and 90s. Right. So I want to hear from your perspective. What do you think about football today, and how are you seeing it change, especially with the players?
I think that football's a lot easier. I think if I played in this era, it would be bad. It's not as physical. I played with the guys who were mean and dirty, and if they heard you had an injury report, and it came up, they're trying to dive, whatever that was the injury showed. And then also, like, everybody's entitled. I think with the social media, like, that's the main thing. Like, guys rather, it's not, I want to be the greatest anymore. It's like, okay, I want to be really good, make some good money, but I want to be, like, popular. So you got all these guys that do, like, and I guess it's an era thing. So I'm not knocking it. But guys wear, like, the hair, they're coloring their hair, and they're like, they don't do, like, the different colors in it. And, like, it's like everything is about a brand and promoting it. And, sometimes we forget about just playing ball. I think some guys get lost in that, trying to be this mega star off the field, right? And they forget to be the mega star on the field. I think that's a little different. And also, like, I think from being young to, like, going out and had to earn it, to now it's like they feel entitled. I got drafted high, my Instagram got a lot of followers. Like, it's so different now. Even like the rules, they're making the rules, I think it's a lot safer for the game. But everything is like, you get offended so fast, now this day. Like I understand with guys taking a stand, for contract, different reasons, but there's another parts like, hey, man, like, I'm with this team, I'm gonna fulfill the contract, and if I outplay it, then that's something different. But you have to stand for something, and that's something that, like, me and the older guys will talk about. Like they don't know how it really feels to go through the real growing pains. Like, I remember when I got to camp, when I was a rookie, we had to do 2 days. Like, that's hitting in the morning, in the afternoon. That was real. Now it's so, like, easy. Maybe like we was like Brady and the guys were just talking about the difference from how when we came in then to is now, and how it's just so different. So, but I think it's good for the game. I think it's making the game a lot safer. It's bringing a different audience. you know, and I mean, I like it. So I'm not complaining because it's changed my life and my family's life forever.
No, but I get what you're saying. It's all about building a brand now. It's less about, hey, I want to go be Joe Montana or Tom Brady or whoever, and I want to go figure out how to get my Adidas deal and have 6 million Instagram followers. And your generation was probably the last generation before we entered the brand empowerment generation. Like, how do I go become Zion Williamson tomorrow, you know?
And I think if you do it the right way, like a guy like Patrick Mahomes, right? He gets it. You know, we've talked about him last year. He gets it where, hey, my first priority is being the best quarterback I could be to get championships, right? I'm gonna get everything on the back end. I'm gonna get the endorsements. I'm gonna get championships. I'm gonna get all them things. I'm gonna get the followers. But my job is I'm a football player. I grew up to be that. I think sometimes when we forget about that, it's like who are we hanging around? Oh, like different agencies, for example, like they promote that part first. Like I'm gonna brand you where you could be around all these entertainers and brand you as this player, right? But they don't even that's first. Then the secondary topic they bring up or they're promoting is, we'll get you good contracts. It should be the other way around. Hold up, give me the football contract. I'm gonna, and then we can brand. So it's just what you want, I guess, and this is a lot different. It's a lot different.
You'd mentioned Brady, and obviously you got to experience the Brady phenomenon this season. What is that actually like? First of all, the guy made a deal with the devil. I'm 100% convinced. Giselle, he's going to play until he's 86. Whatever that dude signed, I'm willing to sign. If it's purgatory for the rest of afterlife, whatever.
Right.
But what was it actually like getting to play with that guy, and what makes him Brady?
He's special, man. He gets it. I mean, he's a guy we talked about. Just want to be the greatest ever. That's his thing. He's a huge competitor. He's very intelligent, man. He's always trying to find the edge. So if I'm getting older and maybe I'm not physically the same, okay, well, how can I get an edge or advantage, somewhere else? And he finds a way. He's a hard worker. He wants to win. He's a great teammate. He's a great leader. He's probably he is probably, I will say this, the biggest and best player as a leader, though. Not always just like the physical tools. Like Mahomes can lead by breaking 3 times, throwing a sidearm bomb for 6 when we're down, a touchdown. Brady's more like whatever, the way he speaks, the way he motivates. You believe everything he says. Like, hey, go out there and walk on water. I promise you will not drown. I'm probably going to do it because he makes you believe. And I can see how he had the Patriots, man, having them guys playing like that. They will never be the same. I don't care who the coach is. That don't matter. They talk about that. It's not a comparison between Bill and Tom. Tom can make the organization, man, believe. He changed the culture, and you can see it. I mean, the Bucs, we had a good team, yeah, but the way he got that culture, the guys thinking, making them believe that you can be the best. And that's what we did last year. So just having him in the building, I could definitely see the difference from having a guy like that in the locker room to not having a guy like that.
Shady, I remember when you first came in the league, you're so physically talented. The way you shook people out of their cleats, I can't remember. Maybe there's a few running backs in history that were as elusive as you. How do you see your body and your skill set change as you become older? And how do you keep yourself at the top?
Well, I think I'll be fine. Now I got to work out because believe it or not, I'm a fatty and I like to eat, and I'll gain 10, 15 pounds easy, But other than that, I mean, like I didn't really take no physical hits in the off season. I hang out with a lot of retired running backs, a lot of older guys, which I won't name, but we hang out, getting a little drink by the beach, stuff like that. And, some complain about the knees, the shoulders, the back. See, I don't have none of that. I didn't play like that. Like you couldn't hit me. And then whenever you had me trapped, I'm gonna go down and get up. You know what I'm saying? So I never really took a beating. I never really could hit. And then I think my first 3 years, Andy Reid didn't really run the ball. So I didn't really, take no real beating. So I feel fine as far as going forward. I'm actually, when I retire, I'm gonna probably play in a pickup basketball league, like them 30 and over type things or 40 and down. See if I give me a championship there.
Wait, how important is it nutrition though? Like how important is it to be eating right with being a professional football player?
It also big time, man. Like I know a lot of players I played with that didn't do well, as far as the nutrition and picked up a lot of weight. You start getting different diseases and just creating bad habits. And I don't want to be part of that. I got kids, to raise, man, and I just got done working out with my son. And I never want to be the type of pops where I can't go out there and run with him. That's probably embarrassing. So I think nutrition is big. I mean, even now, I'm not a big cook, so I can't cook at all. I won't lie to you. But I'm probably gonna always have a chef. Whenever I get married, she had to pick up that tab. but yeah, man, nutrition is definitely big, man, for real.
I wanted to talk to you about saying goodbye to Philadelphia because you were part of that generation where we started seeing the great ones leaving and going to other franchises. And obviously it's a business and I get it, but that was really your first big breakup. What is that like when you're going through that? And then as you reflect on it now, do you see it differently?
You know what, to be honest, man, I'm over it now, but it was times where I really, like I'm big friends with Larry Fitzgerald and different guys. And like, I always see myself, there's no way I can leave the Eagles. And at the time I probably was the best player or maybe the second best player behind like Jason Peters. He's probably the best player I played with. And I'm like, there's no way that they can get rid of me. I'm a guy from the hometown, right? I've been the best player since I really came there, right? My second year, I was established. The all-time leading rusher. So it's like, there's no way I can leave. I got a great relationship with the owners and everybody in the building, and I treated people good there. So I kind of adapted to Philadelphia like it was home for me. And then when I left out, it really hurt me because I start thinking about just the small things, like you know everybody in the building, you're late to work, the shortcuts. I purchased my home there. Doing so much stuff in the community, like you feel part of something. And I thought that when like older guys leave their main franchise, it's because they're older or it's a contract situation. Where me, I still was young, I still was productive. I left and got 3 more Pro Bowls, another All Pro. So it was just like it didn't feel right. It didn't fit. And I also think about like legacies. My legacy, I should have grew out more of my legacy in Philly, where like the rushing record. Like I was only there for a little bit of time. I did some numbers, but I could have really blew it out the water. You know what I'm saying? I could do things like that. And then I lost a lot of money, from like endorsements. Stuff you don't even think about. I didn't even know what the market was. You play on TV all the time. You know what I'm saying? People seeing you. Like my jersey was like, for 4 years, 5 years running, it was like top 10, top 8. And then it changed drastically when I went to Buffalo because of the market, so you learn about the game of it. It just was tough, because you like New York Giants and the Redskins and Philly, you can really like build out a big name. We have a kid from Harrisburg, Michael Parsons. He just went to the Cowboys, and I was thinking, I was so happy for him. Not because he's just a good player and like he got drafted, but I'm thinking like, wow, you can be a great player. That's the number one thing. And then the second thing is, you can a great market. You be a Cowboy. Like think about that. Be a Dallas. You know what I'm saying? So I think about all these things as I left, and I got paid a lot more to go to Buffalo, but it wasn't even about that. It was just about this, like the legacy part, building a home. I started getting a lot of like Mike Rubin's a good friend of mine from the Sixers owner. Like you start thinking about everything in the city, you know what I'm saying? And all them things that go together, you think about after football. So that's why I really was hurt about the whole Philadelphia trade. And then they traded me for a guy that was just, he's just okay. You know what I'm saying? So that was real confusing.
So do you have any idea it's coming, or is it just a phone call out of the blue and it's like, hey, LeSean, sorry, bad news?
Yo, true story. My agent called me, Drew Rosenhaus. He said, Shady, this is not a joke. I'm sleeping. I wake up. I had all these text messages like, what the heck? He called me 3 times in a row. He said, Shady, this is not a joke. The Eagles have traded you to the Buffalo Bills. I was like, what? And then I think I called Chip right away, and he didn't pick up. So that's how I went down though.
That's awful. It's like getting broken up with by text by a girlfriend. It's awful.
That's about getting broken up by a text from her best friend. Like, hey, Shady, that's not working out. You know what I mean?
That's a great metaphor. I never thought about the endorsement part of it. You're right. Playing in a bigger market and you're on TV more. I never thought about if you get shipped. And that was before Buffalo. Buffalo's a cool team now because Josh Allen's there.
Yeah, yeah.
But you caught it before they were a cool team. And I can't even imagine. You're right. Like Buffalo's never on TV.
I remember I had a meeting with Nike, and I was trying my own shoe, right? And at the time they didn't really do that, so they gave me like a cross trainer shoe, like Shady's cross trainer shoe, like Nike shoe. I think me and like not Linda White, Marshawn Lynch, we kind of had one, and my numbers did good, right? So I was like, well, I'm thinking that more things to come. I'm still playing good on TV. And I was playing with like a lot of my friends, like me, Deshaun, Macklin. We still all tight. We still always text and talk, and we talk trash to each other. Like, so that had a lot to do with it. But I think just the marketing part, where that was number two, that was secondary, but number one was just to be a great player, which we were doing. So when you lose all that, you're like, dang, you know what I'm saying? It was just, I mean, I did rest in peace. One of my favorite people and players is Kobe Bryant. He had a big ownership in that Body Armor. I signed a big deal with them. You know what I'm saying? I met him through that because he knew who I was from football. I was like, dang, Kobe knows me. I'm a huge Kobe Bryant fan, so we exchanged like information. So all these things you meeting through business from playing ball, because Philadelphia is a large city. I mean, we would go hang out in New York and go like watch a show or a concert and then come home and practice and go to the game Sunday. So there was just so many different, I think, dimensions where I was so upset, you know what I mean? But you don't even think about the small things until it happens.
I was talking to Deshaun about his greatest moments, and I thought he was going to drop Miracle at the Meadowlands. And he actually talked about a moment in his rookie year that overshadowed for him the Miracle at the Meadowlands. You've had so many memorable moments. What's your greatest moment in your mind?
I just want to, I think just being drafted, because you, as a kid, like everybody you grew up with, I'm going to be the next whatever. I'm playing football or basketball. I'm going to buy my mom a house. So you have all these thoughts, the guys you grew up with in the hood, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's this, everybody's that, and to actually have a chance to really do it and live out my childhood dream, that, and to take care of my family, my parents, like that was big, you know what I mean? So I think that was my most memorable moments in my career, because at 20 years old, because I got hurt in high school, my senior year, and I had to leave to go to prep school just to get myself mentally right, get my grades together. I was depressed. I wasn't trying to go to class. And then 2 years later, I'm in the pros. Like, come on. You know what I mean? I couldn't even have a drink. My parents had to sign my contract. We did like me and her and my dad had to sign it because I was 20. So that was probably my biggest moments.
Why Pitt? You think about like, listen,
come on,
Pitt's got a great program.
Come on,
I know,
man. Hey, take it easy.
But why were they the selection? Were you getting recruited by the OSUs and the FSUs, or were you like?
Man. I was the number 2 running back. I was behind Chris Beanie Wells. Remember him, the running back?
Yep.
And I was number 2 running back, and I was All-American. Got selected to the All-American game. I had like 78 scholarships. It's crazy because a lot of these coaches already met him from high school. Like Pete Carroll, when I would see him in the league, I knew him because he came to my high school to recruit me. Charlie Wise, Mark Brown, I can name all these dudes, but anyway, I was a high recruit. I got hurt in high school, and then a lot of them said that he probably won't be the same for my injury, so they backed off. So I only had I had Penn State, Pitt, and I committed to Miami in high school, but they were just being, I guess, respectful because, they honored my commitment, but they really didn't want me because we had another kid that committed to Miami in the same prep school, and they would come see him and wouldn't let me know that they were there. So that kind of derailed me a little bit, like, wow. But it worked out. And Wanstead, God, I love Wanstead. He was the only coach that, because I won't get into the details about Penn State, with paternal and everything. Rest in peace. But Wanstead just kept it so honest with me, like, hey, I won't guarantee you'll be playing, but I guarantee you I'll give you a chance to regain your name and regain your respect. And that meant a lot to me because, like, everybody was acting like I'm from up here. You know what I'm saying? The dropping and that was big to me. And he also was, talking his trash. I'm the only coach that can get you to the NFL. I got all the NFL connections. He started talking about Ricky Williams and, like, Wanster, how he gets. And then it worked out.
You know,
God,
when you were describing that, it reminded me of that scene in Friday Night Lights when Boobie Wells ends up tearing up his
see what I'm
knee.
saying? Yeah.
And when you were saying that, I'm thinking to myself, you literally are on top of the world. You're picking from every major program, and in an instant, it could be over in your mind. Like when that's happening, what's good? Are you like, it's over? Are you like, I'm going to come back? Like what goes through your head at that moment?
Oh my God. And then my brother played in the NFL. He was like a 7th-round draft pick, and he did well. You know, it's like you let everybody down. You know, the town hero, you're this, that. You think you know everything, which I was at the time very arrogant. You know, so I think that helped me out. I think God kind of set the message, like, all right, this 17-year-old kid thinks he knows everything. You know, and that's the injury happened. And then you feel like you're depressed. I've never been depressed before. That time had me depressed, man. You know, you feel helpless. Now, granted, my parents, my mom and dad did a great job of just keeping me together, keeping me focused. You know, my mom was really the rider though. Like she's all right, this happened. She said, we're going to prep school right now. Because I had graduation stuff set up. Forget all that. Let's go. We just talked about that, me and her. She said, yo, she called the prep schools. I listen, my son, he got to get out of his hometown. His grades are slipping. He's not doing well. He might not qualify. He's depressed. Get him all the way upstate New York. There's nothing there but school and ball. She did that, got me focused. And then I was okay. Once I seen I had a chance. Because I didn't even start in prep school. I was still kind of hurting. I wasn't ready. But I made sure that, okay, I got another shot. And I just took advantage of it.
I want to talk to you about another feel-good story. And it's a Philadelphia-based story. Oscar Lindblom from the Philadelphia Flyers, he developed cancer this season and returned from cancer. He was able to beat it. And he just was given by the NHL the Masterson Award for his courage and bravery. So I want to actually talk to you about being in Philadelphia. Did you get to experience Flyers culture? And also as a professional athlete, to see someone come back from cancer, how inspirational is it?
See, the thing is, like, growing up in the hood, like, you don't think about hockey. Like, hockey? Why would I? So I never experienced hockey, right? But I remember going to a hockey game, the Flyers game. They made me jerseys. Like, it was like 4 players we went. It was so fun. And I never understood how athletic they were, how fast they were, how talented they were. And I was like, dang, I really missed out on all these years, you know what I'm saying, of watching hockey. And they can fight. So that was cool to really experience the Flyers and the atmosphere, like the fans and being there and having a great time, you know. And then my aunt, one of my best friends, his mother had breast cancer. And I watched how she fought back and beat it, you know, and you think you're always going through something that's tough till you really look at somebody else's shoes and their journey and see that it's a lot tougher than yours, you know. And to this day, she has a head full of hair. She's smiling. She's doing great, you know, and she beat it.
What was the culture like? Because just from an Eagles standpoint, to be able to see the Flyers and their presence in the city, were you guys able to feel it and admire it?
Yeah. I can't really recall the exact year, but I remember just going to the games and like everybody's being so like big on the Flyers. I was like, let me go check it out. And once I went, I mean, just seeing how the fans were, it was like an Eagle game, you know, and it was, that puck is so fast, you know, and the guys run around on the ice, and that's hard because I can't even skate, you know, regular, like the skating, roller skates. So to actually be on the ice and doing it, and I just grew a lot of different respect for the game.
I want to talk to you about life after football, because even though you've got gas left in the tank, there's got to be thoughts about life after football. I'm actually blown away at how articulate and thoughtful you are. Like I could easily see you transitioning into broadcasting. Is that kind of the direction you're thinking about? Are you thinking about, hey, I want to be like a Deuce Staley and go coach? What kind of pathway do you want to see for yourself the next 10, 15, 20 years?
I can guarantee you I won't be a coach. That's a lot of time, you know, but just, yeah, I think broadcasting is something that I see in my future. I actually wanted to do the broadcast boot camp, but due to COVID, we couldn't really successfully do that. But that's something I also want to do, just to, you know, perfect my game a little bit. And I love the game. I love to talk about it. You know, Archo, who's on TV right now, we used to argue for hours, and now he's doing very well on TV. And also me and my brother, we have a big real estate company that we're doing very well with. We're actually involved in like opportunity zones and, helping out our urban community, which I grew up in, developing land, multi-units. I mean, you name it. And it's actually been cool. Like I've always been like, so like fascinated by the way where these homes are beat down and then nobody want to live on them. And then when you fix them up, they look amazing. That's like the cool thing to me. So I kind of grew in love with that. And also I remember growing up and like our landlords, they weren't too good to us. I won't get into that, but they, some of our living conditions, my mom and dad worked very hard. I never wanted to be a landlord where I was getting money, a certain amount of money every month, and the living conditions weren't nice. Where me and my brother, what we want to have, we're landlords that, hey, if I'm paying $1,000 or whatever I'm paying, it feels like it. Nice floors, nice roofs. Any issues we have, guys are fixing it. And that's something that was big to us also. Like I've done good for myself, and it's nothing to give back to people. And that's something that, even my foundation we've been big on. So I have so many different things I want to do when I'm retired. But I think the real estate is probably my number one thing. Because it's fun. It's fun and give you something to do all day.
Real estate's tough. What are some of the biggest learnings you've had as you've kind of built this business?
You know what? I'm actually still learning. I'm trying to get better at when I walk into a home, knowing the numbers. Okay, dang, the roof is messed up. Okay, 15,000 here. Okay, 10. Like I'm still trying to learn that part of it, the numbers, because sometimes I may like or even like when I'm trying to buy the property. That's another one I'm having trouble with. Like talking to realtors, getting different. If I'm doing a flip or I'm doing like a multi-unit, the value of the homes. Sometimes I may overbid. Houses is 500 grand. I'm paying, $495 where I really should be paying lower. So I'm just trying to learn or some houses would not to get. I might be wasting. I'm in there for 3 months trying to fix it up to sell it, and the profit might be only 25 grand where I could have did something else, spent less time and made more money. So it was just learning the game. Because I've made some mistakes. I've risked a lot of money in it, but I always like to do things for a good cause. And if I'm doing that, I want to have the ability to like fix up my community and my neighborhoods where I grew up at. That way 15, 20 years ago, this place was terrible. Now that I have a chance to make it better, the next kids is growing up, when they get older, like, dang, yo, this place is nice. It's even getting better. So I just want to leave a legacy on and off the field.
When is the first time you heard shady?
I was a kid. One of my old coaches would call me that. My mom gave me the nickname, and everybody just ran with it.
When did you realize that you had like the elusiveness? Like, again, it's a natural thing. You can't teach what you were born with. When was the first moment you realized I have something special here?
Yeah, it just happened because like I remember just the same moves I was doing like in the NFL. I did them same moves at like 6 years old, 7 years old. As I watch tape, I see the moves I'm doing. Grown men go for the same moves. So it's really just something I've been doing for so many years. I think that my style is unique. Like you won't find so many guys that run like me, ball in one hand, not real big, shifty, can't really hit them. I probably taken 3 main like hard shots my whole career. I think that not say the closest thing, but the thing that I've always tried to model to be like the player is probably Barry Sanders. He's the best at it ever. He
was unhittable, but he was also smaller than you.
Yeah, I mean him, like guys like him, and I'm a big fan of come on, JD. He played for the Bears. He was really good, older. How can I forget him? He's one of my favorite players. He's older.
Recently, Sayers. Walter Payton?
No, Gale Sayers.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Shiftier guys. I thought Reggie Bush was pretty shifty. I didn't think that. I thought he would be more shiftier because I was a big Reggie Bush fan in college.
Why do you think he didn't translate to the NFL? Like, what happened? He was going to be one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, I think he was a good player. I think he did well. I don't think he's a bust. I think he did good in the pros. He was just he was unbelievable in college. That's the difference, I think. But Reggie had a good year. He had a good career, I would say. I don't know. Maybe I think when he got to the Saints, they kind of use him as a passer. So that probably took 4 or 5 years out of his career, because we got the Dolphins, he was doing really good.
How important is that? How important is fit? So obviously you nailed it with Andy, but how important is it for a running back to get the right fit?
I think it matters. I think the best guys can play in any system. Like Andy Reid, that was different for me when I went there because I'm used to getting the ball. I'm used to being eye formation. And there I didn't really get the ball that much with Coach Reid. Not running it. He would give me about 11 carries and give me about 4 passes, and I would do the best with it, But he wasn't big on running the ball. He's always joked to me about, come on, you can't go to heaven if you run the ball too much, So,
That's great.
I just said I did that. And then when I went to Buffalo, they said I was too small to get the ball that much, and I was balling. So I think a good running back can play in any scheme. It's just some that need to be. Like I think Derrick Henry's a good back, but I think he has to get that type of workload to be real effective. You know what I mean? He's a bigger guy. He's gonna wear you down. Like he's getting 40 carries and he's still running the same. People can't do that. So it's all about the type of team and fit. I think it matters.
How much shit did you get for putting the ball out? Because you always had that whole, cradle the ball out. And it was awesome to watch, but I can't even imagine the shit you got for it.
Andy Reid would tell the coaches, hey, let him go. Coach Reid didn't say much. His thing was, that's the way he plays. He's showcasing his talent. He's showcasing his personality. He used to tell me, whisper to me, but if you fumble, you know what I'm saying? He would tell me that. But he would tell the coaches, hey, let him go. Let him go. And then once I got that name, when I would go to other teams, they never would question it. That's how he plays.
So I also, in addition to this, host a show with the NHL, and we're in the midst of the NHL playoffs, which is why I was asking about the NHL earlier. But Tampa Bay is still in the NHL playoffs, in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah.
As someone who's experienced 2 championships, what would your suggestion be for Tampa or any other team that wins the Stanley Cup this year? How should they celebrate? How should they enjoy it?
Well, they're a lot than we are, I think. So they want to go out there and have some drinks, kick it back, do what they got to do. I think celebrating is all what you make it. Like celebrating my last championship was way different than I've ever been a part of. So be on the boats, that's pretty cool. They should celebrate like that. Now I don't know about a trophy around on the water, but everything else they should do.
Have you ever been near the Stanley Cup, by the way?
I've not, no.
Oh, it's the greatest trophy in sports. I mean, the Lombardi's pretty cool, but the Stanley Cup is the Stanley Cup.
Right. I've heard that before, though. I've heard that before.
Oh, dude, this was awesome. Before I let you go, I want to, one of the reasons that I started the show was to talk to successful people like you about how they continue to elevate in their careers. So LeSean McCoy, how do you continue to elevate both on and off the field?
I think the first thing is just having, faith in my Lord, and just being humble, being grounded. I just think that, man, like anything can happen, so you always got to keep positive and try to get better and better and never get complacent. I think about all the good times I had playing. It's like, all right, I had a lot of bad times, so how can I continue to be better with that mindset, and always want to compete. I think some guys, man, they get so comfortable that they don't want to compete no more. Like they deserve it. No, you got to keep earning it. And that's one thing I've always been big on. Like I want to be considered one of the best, especially in my era, in my time. Because if you think he's better, then let me show you that I'm better. I think all the greats have that attitude, man. They always want to be better and be the best. And that's just the way I've been playing.
One last question, because you've talked a ton about mental health today. And Naomi Osaka, the tennis player, just withdrew from the French Open, talking about the pressures that an athlete deals with, and she didn't want to talk to the press. Mental health is something now that is so talked about. As an athlete, how does that impact you guys? How are you able to cope? And, you talked about the downtimes. How are you able to deal with those?
I think, man, just, having your trust and faith in God. You got to talk to him more than anybody. I think also you need a good supporting cast around you. And I've had them things, man. And I'll just take time out to just express myself. I think sometimes as athletes, we got so much pressure and so much responsibility that we don't have a chance to really express ourselves, be emotional. Like, hey, I'm nervous. That happens, and I need to talk about that, or things I might feel. I need to be able to talk about it. I think we don't. But I think we open up with teammates and family. I think it gives you a sense of relief, that you go out there and just play your game.
Shady, this was awesome. You're so articulate. You definitely have a career in broadcasting ahead of you, man.
Thank you, man.
This was a
Appreciate
ton of
that.
fun, man.
You might have to come hire me.
No, listen, I think you're awesome. You should be doing something. We had never spoken before, and I wasn't sure what I was going to get. And just how thoughtful and also how reflective you are, because I'm talking to a grown man now versus a kid.
Right.
And the way you can look back at young Shady versus adult father, I played a whole career Shady. It's really incredible to hear.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the time.
Same here, brother. Thanks for coming on.
All right. Y'all take it easy.
Take care, man.